Ever listen to a really, engaging conversation and just wish you could pull out the key points without, like, wading through everything?
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what we're doing today. We're doing a deep dive into this really interesting chat between Joe Rogan and Elon Musk.
Hmm.
We're zeroing in specifically on what they said about wealth, how capital gets used, and this whole idea about which job society values more.
Right. And to really get a handle on their thinking, we're also going to, weave in some explanations of the English vocab and phrases they actually use.
Good idea.
Think of it as like a shortcut. You get the big ideas, Musk's views on wealth creation, societal priorities, and the language used to talk about it all.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So let's
Yeah.
jump right in.
Yeah.
Musk makes this statement that really grabs your attention.
Hmm.
Too many smart people go into finance and law.
Yeah, that's a bold one.
It is. It's like this big picture observation about where talent's heading. And he frames it, interestingly, as both a compliment and a criticism.
Which tells you right away there's like layers to it. The compliment part, he suggests, is that, well, finance and law attract smart people, that's clear.
Sure.
But the criticism is his feeling that, maybe that intelligence could be doing more somewhere else. He's pretty direct. Fewer people doing law and fewer people doing finance and more people making stuff.
More people making stuff. It's simple, memorable.
Definitely. It highlights this potential conflict, doesn't it, between, the draw of these high-paying jobs and maybe the need for more people in innovation, in production.
Yeah, it really makes you think. What are your first thoughts on that? Does it resonate with how you see things, where talent goes?
Well, it raises a really fundamental question. I think what drives career choices? Is it just the money or, other things too?
Right.
And if lots of really capable people cluster in just a few fields, what does that mean for, say, manufacturing or engineering or science? It's a debate about value, really. What kind of work contributes most?
That's a crucial point. And it leads us right into the idea of wealth itself. Musk notes, in recent years, billionaire has become a pejorative, that word. It just feels negative now.
Yeah, and it's interesting how language shows what society's thinking, isn't it? Pejorative, as the source material points out, just means expressing disapproval and negative view.
Like derogatory.
Exactly, yeah. Derogatory is a good synonym, expressing disrespect. The fact that billionaire is starting to sound like that suggests, well, maybe more public questioning of huge wealth.
It reminds me, you know that scene in Rocky 2 where Rocky gets derogatory totally wrong?
Uh-huh, yeah.
It's funny, but it shows how easily words, their weight, can be missed. Have you noticed that yourself?
Yeah.
How certain words, especially about money or wealth, just land differently now. They feel loaded.
Oh, absolutely. The context changes everything. And when you're talking about something complex like wealth, the words you pick are super important. Using these loaded terms can just stop a useful conversation dead in its tracks.
Definitely need clarity. So, okay, this wealth that might now be seen as pejorative, how does Musk say it actually, comes about? How does it arise?
Right. He explains it like this. If you organize people in a better way to produce products and services that are better than what existed before, and you have some ownership in that company, then that essentially gives you the right to allocate more capital.
Okay, let's unpack that. Arise, that just means what? Come into existence.
Yeah, pretty much. To appear, to begin, like a question arose. The forms are arise, arose, arisen, and ownership here means having a piece of the company, like shares, stocks.
That's got it. And allocate capital.
That means assigning money, setting it aside for something specific. Like you might allocate savings each month for a down payment. It's about deciding where money goes purposefully.
So for Musk, wealth isn't just sitting there. It's tied to making better stuff, better services, and having the power, the right, he says, to direct money towards, well, more making of stuff.
Exactly. But he also points out this common mistake, this conflation of consumption and capital allocation.
Conflation, meaning mixing things up, believing they're the same when they're not.
Precisely. Musk thinks people wrongly equate consumption, buying things for yourself, using them up with capital allocation, which is using money to create future value.
Like buying a fancy car versus investing in a factory.
Perfect example. Buying the car is consumption. Investing in the factory to make more cars, that's capital allocation. It's about generating future value, not just personal enjoyment right now.
That makes the difference really clear. Using wealth personally versus using it as a tool for more production. Does that distinction click for you? Do you see that confusion happening?
Oh, definitely. And understanding that difference is key to getting Musk's whole philosophy here. He seems to see wealth, at least the useful kind, mainly as a tool for allocating capital productively, not just for, buying yachts.
It implies a kind of responsibility comes with it, maybe.
Seems like it. A responsibility to invest, to innovate.
Okay, now, the conversation shifts pretty abruptly when Warren Buffett comes up.
Mm.
Musk just says, straight up, to be totally frank, I'm not his biggest fan.
Yeah, no beating around the bush there. Not his biggest fan. Common phrase. Just means you don't like him much. And to be frank, as the source mentioned, just means speaking honestly.
Right. And his reason seems to be Buffett's focus on capital allocation. By reading tons of reports, doing accounting, he finds that whole process deciding if Coke or Pepsi deserve more capital. Well, he says it's kind of boring if you ask me.
Yeah, if you ask me, just means, in my opinion. It's less about saying Buffett isn't important and more about Musk's own preference. He clearly prefers the hands-on building part over the financial analysis part.
He does admit it's important, right?
Yeah.
Figuring out which companies are deserving of more or less capital.
Yes, he concedes that point. Being deserving of something means you've earned it, you merit it. So the job of deciding who gets capital is important, even if Musk finds how Buffett does it boring.
So Musk thinks the capital should flow to companies making compelling products and services. What's compelling mean here?
Fascinating, interesting, persuasive. Things that really grab you offer real value. The source used the example of a compelling argument, one that convinces you.
Okay, so money should go to those companies and the others.
The ones not making compelling stuff. In his view, they should get less or go out of business. Go out of business. The office just means close down, fail.
So it's almost like a natural selection for businesses, fueled by capital allocation.
That seems to be the idea. Capital should find its way to innovation and value and away from things that aren't working anymore.
And this leads to what he calls a big difference. A difference between making money by designing and engineering fantastic products versus investing in companies or moving money around in the stock market.
Right, moving money around, just shifting funds between investments and stock market, obviously, where you buy and sell shares. He also uses the phrase along those lines, meaning things of that type.
So he thinks putting these two things, making stuff and moving money in the same box, is very simple and even an attack vector. What's an attack vector here?
It's like a weak spot, a point someone can easily criticize. Musk feels that if you don't distinguish between, say, building rockets and trading stocks, it allows critics to just lump all wealthy people together unfairly.
Regardless of how they got wealthy.
Exactly. It ignores the difference between creating something new and, managing existing assets. And yeah, pointed out just means mentioned earlier.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up for everyone listening. What are the main takeaways from this Musk-Rogan exchange based on our deep dive?
Well, first, there's Musk's idea that maybe too much brain power is in finance and law and not enough in making things, creating tangible stuff. Second, his view of wealth isn't just about personal cash. It's mainly a tool, a mechanism for directing capital, for allocating resources to productive, innovative companies.
And the third point.
That crucial distinction, there's a big difference, he argues, between wealth from creating amazing products and wealth from, say, stock market investments. And ignoring that difference, he thinks, is simplistic and opens the door to unfair criticism. It's that attack vector.
Right. So here's something to chew on. Does Musk's perspective make you rethink your own ideas about wealth or success? What jobs do you think bring the most value to society? And why?
Yeah, and maybe think about this too. What happens when collectively our smartest people choose certain paths? How does that shape, innovation, our future? Consider all the different ways value gets created and how we reward